Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Miss Espinosa and I teach kindergarten in Texas. In today's video, we will focus on understanding phonemes. So I will be explaining consonant phonemes, vowel phonemes, and the relationship between phonemes and graphemes. And at the end of the video, I will recommend some free resources that will help you with phonics instruction. And all of this information is being presented in alignment with the science of reading research, which helps us apply the best evidence-based practices and approaches for teaching foundational literacy skills. So as you're watching, please take a second to hit that like button. That really helps my channel. Consider subscribing and let's get started. So when we are teaching phonics, we are teaching the relationship between those phonemes and those graphemes. So let's define these important terms. A phoneme is the smallest unit of sound. So when you think of phoneme, think of sounds. A grapheme is a letter, or it can be a letter combination that represents those sounds. And in the English language, there are approximately 44 phonemes and 250 graphemes. So let's explore the consonant phonemes first. Here we have a list of the consonant phonemes, and I broke it up into two different charts. So the 18 consonants listed in the first chart are pretty straightforward. And then we have the digraphs in the other chart. And a digraph is when you have two letters that make one sound. When we are teaching the relationship between the phoneme and the grapheme, we are teaching that letter sound correspondence. So we should be teaching letter names and the sound that each letter makes. And again, that is easiest when we start with those simple consonants in that first chart. And consider that the letters B, D, J, K, P, T, V, and Z. All of these letters, their letter names contain a clue as to the sound that that letter will make. The letter B says B. Letter D, D. J says J. Those letters are often easier to learn than the letters that have clues at the end of their name, like the letter F, L, M, N, R, S, and X. And I have noticed with my students that the hardest letters to learn are those that have the less obvious clues in their letter names, like the letter H, the letter U, Y, and W. And children who have difficulty learning letter names or learning to link those phonemes and graphemes often have weak phonemic awareness skills. And if you are unfamiliar with the term phonemic awareness, I do have a video that explains phonemic awareness. So if you are interested, I will link that in the description. And before I move on, I do want to point out that the letter X and the letter Q are not phonemes. Both of these letters are represented by two sounds. The letter X says X, X. It is represented by the phoneme K and S together. And the letter Q says Qu, Qu. It is represented by the letter K and W. A consonant phoneme refers to a voiced or unvoiced speech sound that is produced with the vocal tract blocked or partially blocked by the lips, the tongue, or the teeth during articulation. When we talk about an unvoiced sound, it refers to a sound with no vibration in the vocal cords. A voiced sound refers to a sound with a vibration in your vocal cords. So in this chart, you see unvoiced sounds and voiced sounds. Many, but not all of the consonant phonemes come in pairs. So for example, T and D are produced in the same place of the mouth with the tongue in the same position, but the only difference is that T is an unvoiced sound, so you do not feel a vibration, while D is a voiced sound and you will feel that vibration in your vocal cords. If you are unfamiliar with the 44 phonemes, I highly recommend that you watch this video titled 44 Phonemes to make sure that you understand how to produce each sound correctly. I know I have trouble with both the voiced and unvoiced TH sound, amongst other sounds, so I refer back to this video often. So when I teach my student phonemes, I start with consonant phonemes, and I'm very descriptive about what our mouth should be doing when we are producing those sounds. So make sure that your students can clearly observe your lips, your tongue, your teeth, everything that your mouth is doing as you say those specific sounds. So if we are practicing our sound, for example, I might say, what sound does the letter M make? My lips are together when I make this sound, and I can feel a vibration on my throat. Let's practice what sound the letter S makes. S. Your lips are not together and your tongue stays inside your mouth behind your teeth, and you push a little bit of air out of your mouth. S. Put your hand in front of your mouth and say S. Do you feel that little bit of air in your hand? And is your throat vibrating? No, it should not be vibrating. It is just incredibly important to model those phonemes correctly, but to also help your students produce them correctly and fix their mistakes. And you can further support them by using mirrors. I use safety mirrors during my small group time, so that really allows my students to look at their mouths and see if their mouth is doing what mouth should be doing, if they are positioning their tongue in the right place. And these safety mirrors are from Lakeshore, but you could also just buy like inexpensive compact mirrors from the dollar store. This is my own personal compact mirror, but you can find these at the dollar store. And we can further categorize these consonant sounds, not just into voiced and unvoiced sounds, but into continuous, stopped, or nasal sounds. So a continuous sound refers to a sound that can be produced for several seconds without interruption, like the sound z. And continuous sounds are the easiest to teach, and students have less difficulty blending with these sounds. So that's something to consider. Now, a stop sound refers to a sound that can be produced very briefly, but it must be clipped, like the sound b, d, g, h, j. And again, it's just very important to model and teach children to clip those stop sounds and that they don't add in that sh sound at the end. That sh sound is the so it is not b, it is not d, it is b, d. Now, a nasal sound refers to a speech sound in which air passes through the nose, like the sounds and ng. And these sounds are both nasal and continuous, so as you practice making those sounds, you can place your hand on either side of your nose and you can feel a gentle vibration in the nasal passages. So since the science of reading research has been published, there are many teachers incorporating sound walls in their classroom, and I think this is a really great visual resource for students. And some walls have real pictures of the mouth movement for that song, and you can find a lot of great ones on Teachers Pay Teachers, which is where I found mine. And I have just a very basic one that I purchased from Tess, the Krafty teacher. So I divided mine into 4 sections, and my consonants are organized in the order that I teach them. Then I have short vowels, long vowels, and digraphs. And I also placed our high frequency words. I am using a new resource that I discovered called iWords to teach high frequency words this year. And I would like to do a video about that a little later and explain the importance of orthographic mapping, which is another key component of phonics and reading development. So let me know in the comments if you would be interested in that. Another really awesome sound wall that I've seen is a vowel valley. And I saved a screenshot of this vowel valley whenever I took the Texas Reading Academy course last school year. So let's look at those 19 vowel phonemes. And a vowel phoneme refers to a voice speech that is produced with the mouth wide open. All of our vowel sounds are voice speech. And this chart was created by Dr. Louisa Moats and Dr. Carol Tolman, both of whom are renowned literacy experts. And they have also created professional development called the Letters Suite. And that stands for Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling, and it provides educators with deep knowledge to become literacy and language experts in the science of reading. So some of the teachers in the teacher Facebook groups that I joined have highly recommended that training, so I will link it in the description if you're interested, but I did want to mention that. So when you look at the top left, those vowel sounds require your mouth to start in a tight smile, and then as you go down the chart, your mouth opens up more. So as you move up the chart, your lips become more tightened. So the first vowel on the top left is an E with a line at the top. That is called a macron, and it lets you know to produce the long E vowel. And long vowel sounds just say their name. Underneath, you have the vowel I with the little curved line on top of it. That is called a breve, and it lets you know to produce the short vowel sound. We can categorize vowels as short, long, diphthongs, vowel R, or schwa, which is what we see in this chart. So diphthongs are two adjacent vowels in the same syllable whose sound blend together with a slide, and they make one sound when produced, like in the word cloud or foil. And when the oi sound is heard at the beginning or middle of a syllable or word, then it is spelled oi, like in the word noise. When the sound is at the end, it could be spelled oy, like in toy. When the ow sound is heard in the beginning or middle of a syllable of a word, it is spelled ou, like in the word couch. And when the ow sound is at the end of a word, it can be spelled ow, like in snow. And then vowel R or R-controlled vowels are sounds that are produced with the letter R following a vowel, and they make an unexpected or reliable sound. Now the schwa is the vowel sound made in an unstressed syllable, and it makes the sound. The schwa vowel sound sounds like a short U sound, but it is much weaker. It's almost like a lazy sound because you hardly open your mouth, and any of the 5 vowels can say it. So here I listed 5 examples of that schwa sound in each of these words, so you can practice producing each word and that schwa vowel sound. So now let's look at some examples of phonemes and graphemes in words, and remember that a grapheme can be a letter or letter combination that represent a sound. Let's listen to the word shop. How many sounds, how many phonemes do you hear in the word shop? Sh, ah, p. I hear 3 phonemes. And now let's look at the graphemes. What letters or letter combinations represent those sounds? Sh, that is the digraph SH. That is the short O vowel. P, that is the letter P. Let's listen to the word badge. How many phonemes do you hear? B, A, J. I hear 3 phonemes. Now let's look at what graphemes represent those sounds. B, letter B. A, letter A. And J. That sound is the letter J, but it is represented by the grapheme D, G, E. Let's look at another example. Let's listen to another example. The word took. T, k. I hear 3 phonemes again, and it also has 3 graphemes. The vowel sound in took is definitely a tricky sound for myself, and it is one of those vowel sounds that we saw in the vowel valley. Let's look at one more example. Listen to the word box. How many phonemes do you hear in box? B, A, X. I hear 4 phonemes, but the word box is represented by 3 graphemes. Remember that the letter X is represented by 2 phonemes, but the grapheme is letter X. With our phonics instruction, it is important that we move from the simplest to the most complex skills, and to also build on previous learning that will help your students identify patterns in words. And you should also be teaching more common sound spellings rather than less common sound spellings. So while I was researching some resources for this video, I did find a really incredible free resource from the Literacy Bug. And they actually have a few, but I'm going to spotlight these grapheme cards. So I'm going to link this resource in the description, and I'm going to scroll down to page 7, which shows this phoneme grapheme map. So I'm going to zoom in and we can look at these examples. So let's look at the phoneme R. It is spelled with the letter R, like in the word run. But if you have a word like hurry, that is spelled with double R. That is one of the graphemes. That letter combination also represents that sound, or RH in rhyme, or even WR is another grapheme. Right. It makes the same sound as Let's look at some examples for the J sound. We have jar. Sometimes the letter G can also make that sound, like in giraffe. Or if we see the grapheme GE, like in cage, or even the grapheme D-G-E, like in fudge. So that is how you would read this resource. Again, the phonemes are at the top in red, and then the graphemes are here. So these are just some examples. I know it's really hard to see, but if you keep scrolling down, you do see some more cards that you could print off. So even with all of that research that has gone into the science of teaching reading, there is not one single scope and sequence for phonics that is the correct one. It just depends on the curriculum that you're looking at. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you may have seen that I use a lot of the Measured Mom free resources. She was such a lifesaver when I started teaching, so I highly recommend her resources. And she actually just created a free resource that is a free scope and sequence for phonics. And it's available as a free download if you sign up for her emails, which I highly recommend. So I will link that in the description. And another free resource that I found is from Dyslexia Reading Well. So if you want a more print-friendly phoneme and grapheme chart, this could be a good option for you. And before I wrap it up, I do just want to recommend some Instagram accounts that I follow who post just really helpful phonics content, and they all have their own websites as well and mailing lists. So I highly recommend signing up for mailing lists because they will send exclusive resources to the people that sign up. And so just some of my favorite accounts are The Measured Mom, This Reading Mama, Play-Doh to Play-Doh, Sweet for Kindergarten, Spark Literacy, Learning at the Primary Pond, and Snippets by Sarah. So those are just a few. I'll link their Instagram accounts. And that's it for this video. I really hope that it was helpful. Again, please take a second to hit that like button if you haven't, and subscribe for future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!